Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here, bringing you episode 37 of my Agrarian Skies Hardcore Quest Let's Play. This game pack by Jadedcat is available on the Feed the Beast launcher. Last time, I showed you how to make some basic blood armor. Today, we're going to work on upgrading it. But first, a couple of things. One, I've found that the green hearts and yellow hearts have been altered. You can still make the canister out of some fairly simple materials, but the yellow heart itself is no longer available for crafting. Neither, if I take a look, actually the green heart canister can no longer be crafted at all. So, continuing to use these would feel a little bit like cheating to me. And I don't like doing that. So if the intended balance is that I don't have them, goodbye. I do have a few left over from quest rewards, 4 greens and 2 yellows, and I will be using those. To those of you who have commented that having multiple hearts of different levels is confusing and wrong, well, it just got worse. So, sorry about that. What have we got now? Lots of quests. Hell's Kitchen, I completed the toast quest, so I'm going to pick that up. We'll take the left reward bag. We're just going to open a whole bunch of reward bags all at once, because For the Hoarding, I have completed both the Crystal Clear quest, as I set my guy here to do the glass thing for me with the automatic shut off. So I'm going to complete that, pick up the left bag again. I have all of the cryothium I need to finish that quest. All the fun of letting things run in the background. I thought I had all the cryothium I needed. I may have been lying. Oh, you know what? It takes 160 buckets of cryothium. What am I talking about? I thought it was 100. So yeah, I've turned in over 100 buckets, but I need 60 more. So that one's not quite done yet. However, I do have all of the ice I need and then some to get the next For the Hoarding quest complete. So I'm just going to set this up to work on that real quick. And then I'll start opening some reward bags. I wanted to select task. I am selected on that task. There we go. Whoops. And now I'm tossing away all of my glass because I failed to reset things first. That's okay. That will go fairly quick. Now, by popular opinion, I've decided to auto-complete the digital storage quest, as I've already crafted all of these blocks on camera before, which will get me 4 interfaces, a heart, a reward bag, and another yellow heart canister. Bringing me to a total of 3 yellow heart canisters. A grand total of 65 lives for the moment. 2 greater bags and 2 epic bags. In the greater bags we have 12 angel blocks, nice, and a bunch of colored bricks, less fantastic. If the performance today is a little wonky, I just refreshed this computer using the Windows 8 refresh function. I feel like there are still optimizations and tweaks that need to be made, and I am running Windows 8.1 for the first time, so that may have some effect. Epic bags contain a book with Repair 1. That's pretty sweet. And 2 spaghetti and meatballs. That is less sweet. However, I will go to Hell's Kitchen, and I will hand in my spaghetti with meatballs. Because, heck, that's 2 out of 1,000. Now, if I go back to For the Hoarding, the ice quest is now complete. I will claim 1 reward. That is an epic bag, 1 master ritual stone, and 32 ritual stones. Fantastic. I plan on doing a lot with rituals in the next few episodes. So let me just toss some cryothium into the magma crucible there. Fresh install always leaves things a little odd. So many things that need to be refreshed and set back up. There we go. So, what have we got on the docket for binding armor? Well, to upgrade the bound armor, you need to use sigils. And each piece of armor will also cost one of those blood shards. Luckily, thinking ahead, I set up the machine to build myself a whole bunch of blood shards. And I'm actually going to get around to upgrading that sometime in the near future. As cool as the Hungry Chest and Brain in a Jar are, there are better options in this mod pack for what I want to do with it. But that's a story for another day. Today, we're going to check out a lot of the cool sigils that are available, and we're going to use them to upgrade our armor. First things first, I want to make the water sigil. Oh, you know what helps? If you get all of the components you need. I had everything set up, mostly. This is an annoying one because you can't shift click it in, which means you have to place all of these buckets in individually. There we go. But you do get your 7 empty buckets back. Now, the water sigil does exactly what you would expect a sigil made out of a bunch of water buckets to do. It places down a bucket of water. Kind of fun. If I take a look at my divination sigil, I can see that I have a ton of extra blood in the altar, I believe. Yes. So, I'm at 1 million LP. If I put down a bucket of water, well, that costs me exactly 100. Half of a heart in the default altar. Not a big deal. Still, kind of useful. You don't have to remember to carry the buckets around with you. Next on the docket is the lava sigil. For that, I'm going to need to make myself another lava crystal. Oh yeah, that's right. Those are a little bit difficult, aren't they? I'm going to need to go back to my crafting interface. Luckily, I have one right here. Also, luckily, I believe I can shift click in part of that. Every part of it that I have. I don't have... Oh, well, there we go. That's what I can shift click in. Now I just can add in those lava buckets and the weak blood orb, and I have a lava crystal. Then I can use that lava crystal with the magma cream. More buckets of lava, which I'm going to have to go get. I did plan this ahead a little bit. Weak blood orb again, and the blank slate in the proper configuration. Maybe it's not the weak blood orb. Nope, it is the lava sigil that I just made and talked about 3 times. You'd think I'd remember these things. It does not eat up the lava crystal, by the way. And the lava sigil works just like the water sigil, except it places lava instead. Now, I have my air sigil, my water sigil, and my lava sigil, and I can use these together to craft the Sigil of Elemental Affinity with my Magician's blood orb. Sigil of Elemental Affinity gives me fire immunity, water breathing. I'm actually going to need things that I don't have here. That didn't do it. There we go. Shift right click picks up one item from the ME interface. A helpful commenter on one of my videos told me about this. I need a demonic slate, or maybe an imbued slate. I forget which. I'll grab one of each just in case. Alright, Sigil of Elemental Infinity. Affinity, not infinity. To infinity? Alright, and this will consume the water, lava, and air sigils, along with 4 obsidian, to upgrade them to the Sigil of Elemental Affinity. The way the Sigil of Elemental Affinity works, once it is bound to me, I am now immune to fall damage. And I am immune to fire. I can swim in lava. If I turn this off, I immediately start taking fire damage. And if I hop down into my squid pool, you can see that my breath bar is not moving anywhere. All of these effects do drain a fair bit of LP from the network, but not a ton, as you can see. Looks like only a couple of hundred every few seconds. So this is a pretty cool kind of passive ability, but it's always costing a little bit. Well, it's one of the building blocks for something that I'm going to be doing. Now the problem is I no longer have the air sigil cool flight ability, and I'm going to want that back. But that can wait, because next I want to make the Sigil of Magnetism. This uses another imbued slate, the Magician's Blood Orb, 3 gold ingots, and then 4 blocks of iron. Sigil of Magnetism does exactly what you might expect it to, and you can see that it will pull items to me from quite a distance away. Kind of useful on this map. This also has a constant drain effect to it, I believe. It might instead cost per item it pulls. Maybe it doesn't cost anything at all. Oh, there was a tick. There we go. It costs 100 every time it ticks, so almost nothing. Sigil of Holding. We are not going to be building right now. What this does, it is similar to your... I have a whole bunch of extra mob items on me for some reason. What the Sigil of Holding does is it works like your wand focus bag. It will allow you to have multiple sigils in one inventory space, which is very, very useful. Air Sigil. Wanted to remake the Air Sigil for a really good reason. See, the Air Sigil seems kind of a little hazardous on its own, and it is. It definitely is. Except I need the Apprentice Blood Orb. I'm looking forward to a day where you don't need to swap out your orb to do lower tier recipes. So, Air Sigil, as you know, lets you kind of fly, but you take fall damage. Well, with the Sigil of Elemental Affinity, I can fly, no fall damage. Or, if I use the Flight Potion, that enables creative flight, but this is kind of slow. On the other hand, I can power myself around quickly with the Air Sigil, and then just kind of hover where I land. Very useful. And, as long as I'm right here, if I open my inventory while I have the Sigil of Elemental Affinity active, I can see that I have fire resistance and water breathing buffs. Pretty cool. So, what's next on our list of sigils? We're not going to make the Sigil of Holding. We don't need another water or lava sigil. They're pretty easy to get. Void Sigil, this one's fun. I'm going to make myself a Void Sigil, because I want to have one on me. Void Sigil, simple case of some string, some reinforced slate, a apprenticed blood orb, and a bunch of empty buckets. And I believe this does consume the empty buckets. And as you would expect out of a sigil that's made primarily out of empty buckets, it is a permanently empty bucket. I can scoop up any water source block and it will be permanently deleted from the world. Works on lava too. Just a neat, handy little utility. Sometimes you just need to make liquid disappear. Void Sigil is really good for that. Sigil of the Fast Miner. I don't want to make this, but it will cause you to mine very quickly. You use some Invar tools and some stone, and you will get, I believe, the Mining Haste 2 buff, which on top of an Efficiency 4 Flux Infused pickaxe, or Efficiency 5 at this point. Yeah, I already have enough issues with accidentally plummeting to my death because I mined through the platform I'm standing on. We're going to skip the Sigil of the Fast Miner. Divination Sigil you've seen. Sigil of Haste, on the other hand, definitely on the list. Need to head downstairs. Collect the materials to make that one. To make the Sigil of Haste. Haste. I need some cookies, which are just wheat and cocoa. Or you can get them out of the Tricky Bees, which also seem to drop skeleton skulls. I am also going to need a little bit of sugar, which I should have plenty of. Need to go get a demonic slate. Oh, I have one right here. There we go. Sigil of Haste. This is another one of those completely expected sigils. It makes you run faster. If I activate it, well, first let's see how much LP we have left. 993,300. I turn this baby on. 993,050. So cost 250. Applies the jump boost 2 and the haste 2 buff. Yeah, now I can go places. If I turn it off, the walk back takes considerably longer. I can also jump quite high. I believe that's 3 blocks. Yeah, easily 3. Now, the other fun thing is it also speeds up your default flight speed. And yes, I can see that there's some frame rate lag here. My computer is less than happy with what I am causing it to do. But you have to admit that this is cool. If you, for some reason, don't want to move that fast, well, no, even shift does not properly suppress. You would have to actually disable it entirely. But if you want to get out of dodge, nothing quite beats turning on... Oop. How about not falling off things? That helps. Turn on the Sigil of Haste, run, and jump. And you will cover ground like you wouldn't believe. So, next on the list of really awesome sigils available, you've seen the Sigil of the Green Grove. The Sigil of the Whirlwind will block projectiles fired at me. Not super useful, because it does not block everything. It's mostly good against arrows. Sigil of the Phantom Bridge is a cool one, and that's fairly easy to make. Sure. I can demonstrate that one without much trouble at all. All it uses is stone and soul sand. Which makes perfect sense when you know what the sigil does. Most of these are very... they're not exactly named with tricks in mind. That is to say, their function is obvious when you know their name. So, Sigil of the Phantom Bridge. 100 to activate. If you walk off a platform, it creates a bridge at the same height that you were just on. That is a set of temporary blocks that will disappear. So if I walk over here, over time, those blocks disappear. Not including the ones that I'm standing directly over. They're very easy to break, and they reappear faster than you can fall through. If you want to go down, hold shift. Press shift, and you will fall. As you walk, new platform will appear on a level lower. If you want to go upwards, I believe you can jump. Could be wrong. Maybe control. In any case, you can go places with the Sigil of the Phantom Bridge fairly easily. It's pretty neat. Magnetism you've seen. Blood Lamp is a portable torch that costs a little bit of LP. I might make one of those later. And the last one, and definitely not least, Sigil of the Dome, which will use up my Void Sigil, 3 lava buckets, 3 water buckets, and a teleposer, which we'll get into the details on the teleposer later. It needs a teleposition focus, which requires me to toss an ender pearl into my blood altar. No problem. I'm also going to need to get a couple more buckets of lava and water. That stuff did not want to disappear. Need more blood in the blood altar. So, where were we? Sigil of the Dome, yes. Going to need 2 more ender pearls. Teleposition focus in the center, surrounded by ender... You know what? Gold ingots. It's always something, isn't it? Especially when you've spent your entire day trying to sort out a computer problem so that you could record the episode that you should have had done hours ago. Apologies if I'm a little burnt out from doing my own tech support today. It has been a pita. Do I even have the right... Yes, I do. So the Sigil of the Dome does not use a slate. It requires the Master Blood Orb and the Void Sigil. And this one is less obvious than some of the others. To demonstrate it properly, I'm going to take a trip to the nether using my warp book, which is in my bag. And I'm going to go visit my lava pump. So, as long as I have it with me, I'm going to turn on my Sigil of Elemental Affinity to make sure that I'm safe. And now I can easily, go find myself a little bit of that leftover lava lake. I can see nasties on my screen, but I can't see where they are. I mean, on my mini-map. So I can toss myself into the lava, no problem, right? Except visibility down here sucks. So I'm going to turn on the Sigil of the Dome. Yeah, check that out. It will remove the lava as I'm walking towards it, and behind me it will come back. Those source blocks are not being deleted, they're being temporarily displaced by the magic. And guests can see through lava. Anyway, this is one of the coolest effects that I have ever seen. The Sigil of the Dome. Now, you might be wondering, this episode is supposed to be all about really cool bound armor. Huh, I landed in my water pool with the dome active, so now there's no water. All of the squids almost drowned in the air. So the reason I needed to show you all about sigils is sigils are the building blocks of really cool armor. To make the best armor, you can bind a sigil into your bound armor. To make the absolute top-end armor, you can bind multiple sigils per piece of armor. However, I don't have that option. I only have the option of including 1 sigil per piece of armor because I only have regular weak blood shards. To make better armor than what I'm going to make today, you need strong demon blood shards. And we'll get into demon summoning and how to acquire demon blood shards in a later episode. So to create the upgraded bound armor, you need to lay out your recipe as usual, and you need to add items to the filled sockets. To add an item, you simply mouse over the filled socket and you right click. You want to start with your weak blood orb, your weak blood shard, and if you can make them possibly at all, which by the time you have a significant quantity of weak blood shards, you certainly should be able to, you want to use a master blood orb. The reason for this is the sigils, when they are socketed into a piece of bound armor, have a constant drain on your LP. You will lose life points and from your essence network continuously while wearing bound armor that uses a sigil. However, if you bind a higher tier blood orb, it will significantly reduce the cost based on the tier, and if you bind the master's blood orb, it completely removes it. Now into this chest piece, I'm going to place the Sigil of Magnetism because I think it's appropriate and I like that one. So I right click it, I get my really cool chest piece, and now if I have items on the ground anywhere nearby, they will get sucked into my inventory from long distance, which is fantastic and cool. I'm now going to make myself some boots, which also use the weak blood shard, a master blood orb, and I'm going to put a Sigil of Air in the boots. Now, the Sigil of Air doesn't normally have a passive effect. However, the way it does work is it eliminates all fall damage. Just like if I was using the Sigil of Elemental Affinity, I can go up with this and fall back down and take 0 damage. The same thing will happen with the Sigil of Air equipped in the boots. Like so. Now, I would love to just use the Sigil of Elemental Affinity because having water breathing, lava immunity, and fall damage immunity and a single sigil would be fantastic. However, they stop you from doing that. You are not allowed to do so. I am now going to use the Sigil of the Void in my pants. And the Sigil of the Void has a very interesting effect. It will stop me from taking damage from the Void itself. And what this means is if I whack that with my crystal, and I were to drink a swig of my flight potion, and jump off, go down to below Y -60. Normally down here I'd be taking damage to my hit points at a pretty significant rate. Instead, you see that it's all being applied to my armor. That's because of the Sigil of the Void. So this is just one more step along the path to effective invulnerability. This way, even if I do fall off and I don't have my flight potion and I fall past platforms, I'll have time to grab my warp book out and sort things out. Or if I have no way of escaping, it'll just be a very long, painful process as my LP network gets completely drained and then I die horribly. Last, and certainly not least, is the helmet. In the helmet, I'm going to place the Master Blood Orb, the Weak Blood Shard, the Sigil of the Dome, which will have the constant effect, the same as I showed you earlier. That weak blood shard did not seem to go in. If you want, you can take an item back out just by right-clicking again with an empty hand. And last but certainly not least, because the helmet has a special function that allows you to bypass the one sigil option, I'm going to put in the Sanguine Helmet. And then I'll go show you what that does. So having the Sanguine Helmet added as the fourth item, I can fly down here, take a look at the aura nodes, or I can fall because it's faster. And you can see I can see that node, I can see what's in it, but if I take off the bound helmet, I can no longer see the node or what's in it. It basically gives me goggles of revealing effect all the time, just for wearing that bound helmet, which is awesome. So there you have it, basic tier blood armor, bound blood armor. All of the other sigils that I haven't used also have some form of effect when placed into the bound armor, and I'll go through each of them and what they do. The water sigil gives water breathing, which is kind of nice, but not super useful on Agrarian Skies, as there is very little water to drown in. Lava sigil gives fire resistance, which is actually really fantastic. Problem being, it is a potion effect and causes orange particles around you, which I don't like. It's distracting and bad. The divination sigil gives you the night vision buff, but again, distracting bad particles flashing all around you. So I'm going to avoid it for now. The sigil of haste gives you boost 2 or 3. It's kind of nice. It gives you all the effects of the normal sigil of haste, which, you can run fast, you can jump high, and I didn't show this earlier, you can actually step up onto 1 high blocks. So there's nothing stopping you from, basically using the sigil of haste or bound armor enchanted with sigil of haste as a perfect replacement for Thaumcraft's Boots of the Traveler. The sigil of holding and the sigil of the blood lamp cannot be used. Oh, where is it? There it is. Those cannot be used inside of the bound armor. It would be really neat if the sigil of the blood lamp gave you like a glow around you effect, a torch tied to your player. Problem is, from what I understand, those effects are very high on the resource cost in terms of CPU cycles. Sigil of the Fast Miner gives you the permanent mining speed boost, kind of neat. Sigil of the Green Grove will cause you to constantly emit pulses that will cause items around you plants around you to grow very quickly. Nice, but you have to stand there as a totem. Sigil of the Whirlwind is a legitimate defensive buff, but it does not deflect all projectiles, only some of them, and I don't think any of the infernal mobs projectiles are going to get deflected by it, so it didn't seem that worth it to me right now. And the Sigil of the Phantom Bridge does exactly what it does if you're using it normally, which can be a really cool effect or could get really annoying. So, what other sigils do I want in my armor that I don't already have? Well, Sigil of Haste is cool and something that I'd really like to have if I can, survive the effects of it and get used to the amount of speed involved. Also, just having the Lava Sigil and the Divination Sigil and Whirlwind, Green Grove, there's no reason not to load them all up, because if you decide to use a different set of sigils than I have, you may be very interested in this. Where is it? Blood Magic adds an inhibitor, I believe? Yes, the Armor Inhibitor. And this is just made with a weak blood shard and a whole bunch of gold. And I'll go put one together real quick to show it to you. Helps if I grab a weak blood shard first. I don't have any in there, of course. Weak blood shard. I don't know why there are skeleton bits here, but there are. So if I put this together real quick, the armor inhibitor does exactly what you would expect. If I turn it on, and it will show based on the color of the gem in the center, whether it is inhibiting or not, you can see that I gain that inhibit buff. And while I'm inhibited, my armor has no effect. I don't know if it stops all effect or if it simply stops the specials. For example, if I push myself up into the air, oh, I'm taking no damage because of the flight potion. But if I were to instead go swimming, I can see that my Sigil of the Dome is not having an effect. And the inhibitor does not cost anything. It just stays active for free. If, however, I turn it off, it immediately allows my armor to take effect. So if you make yourself some dangerous armor, you can use the inhibitor. Now, let's see if I am protected from damage while I am using the inhibitor or not. Sure, we can use ME interfaces. Do a little bit of on-camera testing here. Or maybe we can't. I don't know what just happened. That is weird. Really weird. Oh, you know what? My armor was active. I can't take damage from lava because lava disappears when I'm near it. Yeah. Alright, so that wasn't a great idea. Put that in there. So there you have it. That is bound armor creation. And a lot of the things that go along with it. Ooh, you know what? Here. This laser will be a good test. So that hurts a fair bit. And I am actually on fire, which is a problem. That laser actually pierced through the armor. So if I turn on the inhibitor though, nope, the inhibitor does not stop its effects on damage. Where did that elemental sigil of elemental affinity does not stop the laser from damaging you, but will stop the fire from burning you. So that's something. All right, that is bound armor and the upgrading of such. Pretty cool stuff. The sigils are a lot of, I think, really awesome. As long as you are inhibited, as long as you have the sigil of elemental affinity running, you have particle effects chasing you. Particle effects. So yeah, bound armor, pretty cool stuff. Next time, we are going to get into demon summoning. And to get into demon summoning, I'm going to need an awful lot more alchemical reagents than I have. Which means step 1 of demon summoning is automating alchemy, so that I don't have to make all that stuff by hand, as I have done quite enough alchemy by hand for one series. So, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Also, a very special thank you. This is the first episode I've had a chance to actually record since last Friday. And I have gained 900 subscribers in a little bit more than 3 days, and it's completely mind-blowing and fantastic and awesome. I have an idea in mind to do an extra episode as a 2,000 subscriber special that will be put up sometime during the week. I'm not sure exactly when I will get around to doing the extra recording, but I will definitely be doing an extra episode this week as a 2,000 subscriber special, and I want to get it done, well, I want to get it done in the next couple of days so that my plans for that episode can be included in the world download. And it's not going to be a mechanically heavy episode, but I'm also not going to tell you what exactly I'm doing because I want you to wait and see, because I'm a jerk like that. So, see you next time.